Hello, First Baptist Church family. Today I want to take a few moments to share with you about reopening and how we're going to do that in the days and weeks going forward. If you're like me, a lot of times when I watch a video, I'll watch the first few minutes and then I'm kind of done with it and I move on to the next thing. Today I would like to invite you and encourage you really to watch this in its entirety. We're going to be talking about several different things, and I want to make sure that you have all of the information that you need in regards to our reopening. Now, if you're not aware of this, yesterday our governor announced in the state of Arkansas here kind of the guidelines for churches. And there are really kind of two misconceptions as I've heard people talk and ask questions and even things on the news I want to make sure that all of us are aware of. I did watch it live, so I heard not only his announcement, but also heard quite a few of the follow-up questions. And the first thing is that yesterday he talked about churches, and he also talked about large venues, whether those be indoor or outdoor. And I want to make sure that you're aware that when he addressed those, completely separate issues. So the guidelines, recommendations, directives for large venues does not apply to churches. The second thing I want to make sure that you're aware of, and our governor was made sure that what he said was very articulate in this, is that with all these other industries in regards to the statements that have been made, they are all directives. In other words, you have to do it this way. He was very clear that because of separation of church and state, he did not feel comfortable as the governor or as our government to impose directives upon a church. So all of the things that were mentioned for churches, they are guidelines, which really means that as a church, we have the right to do whatever it is that we feel like we need to do. Now, I do want to say that as we have looked at the guidelines, we're pretty much going to follow all of those and want you to be aware of that. But I just don't want to get a phone call and someone saying, we're breaking the law because we didn't do this. Again, these are not directives for churches. These are guidelines. So his announcement yesterday was that beginning this week that churches could meet. And for me, I'm excited about the opportunity for us to be able to worship together again. And so I want to let you know that beginning this coming Sunday, May 10th, we are going to begin to have worship. We will do that both at 9:30 and 11 o'clock. And I want you to know that really our approach to this and really my heart in this is that we simply want to give people the option, if you feel comfortable, to come together at our church building and to worship together. Now, please listen to me very carefully. If you are uncomfortable, if you're sick, if you have some underlying health concerns, and you want to stay home, please do that. I don't want you to feel like that as a pastor I'm placing some kind of expectation or pressure on you or trying to make you feel guilty. That is not our intention at all. What we simply want to do is for those who feel comfortable, okay, we want to allow them to come here and to worship together. And again, if you're uncomfortable, you have permission to stay home. It's okay. And whenever the day comes where you do feel comfortable, we will look forward to seeing you here with us as we worship. So you may be wondering, well, if I stay at home, what does that mean in terms of watching the service? Well, what we're going to do, again, beginning this Sunday, is we're going to record our service, and then we will post it online as early as we can on Sunday afternoon. We are not going to pre-record it, and just quite frankly, there's a lot of work and energy and effort that go into that, and we want to make sure that we're directing that energy and effort towards the Sunday morning service since we'll be live again. I know that will be inconvenient for some of you. I know you would rather watch on Sunday morning than Sunday afternoon, but I know that's not ideal, but to be honest, there are a lot of things that are not ideal right now. Some of you may wonder why we're not, broadcasting a live service feed. And the simple answer to that is we don't have the internet speed here to do that efficiently or effectively. And so again, if you're uncomfortable, that's okay. Just know that we will upload the service in its entirety, the worship and the sermon, and you'll be able to watch that Sunday afternoon or later that week or whatever is convenient for you. Want you to know that this is the format we're going to follow through the entire month of May. So all the way through the end of this month, this is what we're going to do. But I also want to ask that you would have some grace and be flexible. Information comes out daily and things could change. In 2 weeks there could be a spike in the number of cases and we may have to go back to online only. There is the chance that we're going to meet in this manner all of May and maybe June, maybe July. We really don't know, but at this point we want to meet in this manner for the rest of this month, and then we'll update you as we get to the end of May what we're going to do going forward. So what all does that look like? Well, on Sunday, we're going to have both services, 9:30 and 11 o'clock. And the reason that we're offering 2 services is we believe that will help people practice safe social distancing. If we can divide our numbers over those 2 services, that will help not everybody all in one place at one time. We will have no Sunday school. There will be no children's worship. There will be no nursery, no Wednesday night activities. We're going to have a worship service only, and that will be it for the remainder of this month. If you're a parent and you want to bring your children, love for you to do that. We're going to have, a handout at the information center where your kid would be able to fill it out to maybe keep them distracted some during the service. And if you want to pick one of those up, you are more than welcome to do that. Just know that you will need to bring, a writing utensil, pen or pencil or crayons of your own. We have taken all the pencils out of the sanctuary. That way, again, people are not touching the same thing. We've taken all the hymnals, all the Bibles out of the pews, again, so people are not, touching the same thing. So parents, again, you'll need to bring some kind of crayons or writing utensil for your child. Also, if you're a parent, I'm going to ask you to do one other thing. I know this is kind of uncomfortable, but if your child becomes disruptive in the service, or starts to cry and be really loud, please be considerate of other people that are there and trying to focus and pay attention. And if you wouldn't mind, taking your child out into the lobby or, outside, we would really, really appreciate that. So what's going to happen when we're here? And so I want to talk a little bit about what Sunday morning is going to look like. First thing is, please practice safe social distancing. And this isn't really about your comfort level, it's really about how other people feel. And so when you come onto our property, when you're in the sanctuary, please be aware of that in terms of how close you're sitting to someone on the pew that you're on, somebody in front of you, somebody behind me. So please be aware of those things. Secondly, please be sensitive to how we greet one another. Look, we're a church family, and I know we enjoy hugging one another, we enjoy shaking hands. That's part of family. And maybe this Sunday and going forward, it's just simply a hello, kind of across the room. There's still ways that we can greet one another. And again, this isn't about your comfort level. This is about the comfort level of other people. And we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. So when you're here, please be sensitive and aware of how we greet one another. When you show up here Sunday morning, the main entrance of our building, those double doors will be propped open. We are not going to close them. Again, that way people are not having to touch door handles. When you come into the sanctuary, all the sanctuary doors will remain open. Again, we're doing that so people don't have to touch, the same things, which means if you come in late, please be aware that the service is going on and keep that noise level to a minimum. The back doors of our building, the ones by the nursery, those will remain locked and closed. So don't park back there or you'll have to walk all the way around. If you bang on those doors and you pull the handles, we are not going to open them. We want to filter everyone through that entrance where they don't have to touch anything. We will not have any bulletins. Again, that way people are not touching the same things. We are not going to run the buses. We can't practice safe social distancing in that kind of environment. And so at least through the remainder of this month, no buses on Sunday morning. I know we love coffee and donuts, but we're not going to have any coffee. We won't have any donuts. So when you come into the building, really you need to come in and just sit wherever you'd like to in the sanctuary. We normally offer bread for guests. Not going to have bread for guests. You may be wondering what we're going to do in terms of cleaning. So we are disinfecting the areas of use before the first service. And in between services, this really applies to those of you that come to the second service. We're going to do our best to disinfect and clean the best that we can. We're going to wipe down, the doors and the handles in the bathrooms. We're going to wipe down the water fountains. And then thirdly, we're going to do our best to disinfect the pews. Now, I want to share with you what that means. because if it makes you uncomfortable and you want to stay home, we understand that. I don't want to surprise you when you get here. So when we say disinfect the pews, what we mean is we're going to take, the cleaning wipes, and we will wipe down the wooden part on the back of the pew. On the ends, the little armrest, we're going to wipe those down as well. We will not be able to, disinfect the actual cloth material on the pews. And we're not going to do that for a couple of reasons. One, if we sprayed Lysol or whatever across all of those fabric pieces in the sanctuary, the smell would be really difficult to worship because of the smell. And secondly, there are a lot of people that are allergic to those things. And so I wanted you to be aware of that, because that may cause you to want to come to the first service. But I wanted to be up front, wanted you to be aware of that, and not show up and be surprised by that. Speaking of cleaning, if you come to the first service, we're going to ask you at the conclusion of the service to exit the sanctuary rather quickly. Look, I know you haven't seen people in a while, probably going to want to have conversations. We want you to do that, but we're going to ask if you would be willing to do that outside in the parking lot. That way we can get people out of the sanctuary to give us time to disinfect the sanctuary before people show up for the second service. We'll also have hand sanitizer at the information center, and that way when you come in or leave or whenever you feel necessary, you can use that. Last thing in regards to the service is we will collect an offering, but we will not pass offering plates. Again, trying to reduce the amount of people touching the same thing. And so as you leave the sanctuary, or even when you come in, we will have plates by the doors, and that way you can just drop your offering or tithe in there. Well, church, I will share with you, I am so excited. I cannot wait for Sunday to get here. We're going to have a blast, whether there's 10 of us or whether there's 100 of us. We're going to have a good time worshiping and fellowshipping together. Again, I want to reiterate, if you are uncomfortable, please don't feel pressure like that you have to come. Look, I understand. If you got little kids, you don't want to corral them. If you got health issues, if you're just concerned, look, I get all of that. Please don't feel pressured to be here. Again, we just want to give those that are comfortable the opportunity to worship together. Look, I hope you have a blessed week. If I don't see you this Sunday, I look forward to seeing you sometime in the near future.